What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another World of Warcraft video for the War Within. Now today we're talking about skinning in the War Within from a gold making perspective, and it's basically going to be a skinning gold making guide for the War Within. Speaking of gold making guides, if you want to check out my War Within gold making guide as well, the link will be down below, and we have found a lot of very good skinning farms, so if you're looking for where to farm when you have skinning, check out that guide. We also have tailoring farms, inscription farms, so basically all the different farms in the War Within will be in that guide, and we're also going deep dive into every single profession, how to spend your knowledge points to make the maximum amount of gold that you can. When you buy the guide, you also get access to my Dragonflight Goldmaking Guide for free, and you can buy this guide for half price right now by using the code Solheim. So in essence, you get two guides for the price of one, and that one is half price, and the link will be down below. If you do buy the guide, thank you so much, the support really means a lot to me, and now let's talk about skinning in the War Within. So, like I just said, we have found a lot of skinning farms in the War Within now so far on the beta, and I have been leveling this character from level 70 to level 80, as well as done some level 80 gameplay as well, with skinning on this character. Now, that being said, I haven't put that many knowledge points into skinning yet. I've just been skinning regularly while doing content, and while leveling and stuff like that, but we have gotten to 100 skinning points, and we have skinned a few different beasts, and we have found different locations for skinning, and even though skinning has not changed that much from Dragonflight, I will say right now, it is probably going to be more relevant than it was in Dragonflight, and leather in general will be more relevant, and also the different types of creature-specific types of skins will also be more relevant. Like, going to my bags right now, we for example have the Burning Cinder Beast Satay. I hope I said that correctly, but that's like a rare species-specific material gathered from Cinder Beasts. So you have different types of these materials that will be rare species-specific. We have a couple more as well, I think. We have, for example, honed bone shards, another species-specific material gathered from creatures with horns or tusks. We also have this one, the clipped birdwing, and we also have this, the Kahiti swarm chitin. So we have several different materials that are species-specific, and they will be more relevant in the War Within than they were in Dragonflight. So now let's start talking about spending knowledge points and the different kind of specializations you can go for and what they actually give you. So let's start by reading the highlights for every single specialization, then talk about how to spend the points as well. So first of all, we have tanning. For tanning, you learn the Sharpen Your Knife, which is a brand new ability we have access to now, guaranteeing hides from skinning. Now that ability also has a cooldown, so we have it right here. Sharpen Your Knife. Use your expert knowledge of the outdoors to find a suitable stone to sharpen your knife. The sharpening process will guarantee you receive a hide or carapace from your next Algari skinning attempt. The whole process is physically taxing and cannot be undertaken often. As of right now, we have a 1 hour cooldown on this, and you can guarantee a hide. So for example, when you're doing leather, you can sometimes get a hide, like a rare hide, not just uncommon, but a rare hide, and whenever you are gathering chitin, you can sometimes get a carapace. So we for example have the Thunderous Hide, and I don't have any carapaces right now, but we have a Thunderous Hide. So instead of getting Stormforged leather, you can guarantee a hide once per hour, and the more you will learn tanning, the more you reduce that cooldown as well, and the better hides you get. You also increase your skill while skinning, which will make it so instead of getting your skill 1 or rank 1, you can start getting rank 2, maybe even rank 3, so you get higher quality leather. You can also learn to refine lower quality reagents into a higher quality one, so go into the skinning journal here. You can refine chitin rank 2 by turning rank 1 into rank 2, where you turn 5 quality 1 into 1 quality 2. Now, for the most part, refining leather and refining chitin has usually not been profitable, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it, but it can be. So, you have the option to, usually it's irrelevant, but you have the option to. Now for the next specialization you have harvesting, and the specialization highlight for harvesting is you learn to gather meat for cooking from skinned creatures, you gather additional rare reagents from skinned creatures, you can craft lures used to target specific fish, and you can increase your deftness, finesse and perception while skinning. Let's talk about those for a quick second here. So here we have the gathering details: skill, finesse, deftness and perception. Finesse will increase the chance to gather more of the primary reagent. Think about this like whenever you find hides, you get more hides, and whenever you find leather, you get more leather as well. For deftness, you have gathering speed, and perception, you have a higher chance to spot rare reagents while gathering. So for example, hides, you have a better chance to get those hides, and this one also counts towards creature-specific items as well. So returning back here, we have luring as the last one. Create bait to lure creatures that yield rare materials when skinned, and you can infuse bait with empowered energy found throughout Castlegar, allowing you to gather additional reagents. You can also increase your deftness, finesse and perception while skinning over here as well. Now let's talk about how to spend these specializations so you can go to the full tree. Let's start with luring, where we just left off here. For this one you have luring, then you have the impressive infuser, and you have trade tracker. This will be a very good talent tree to go for if you're focusing on group farm skinning, and the reason why is that you will learn to lure elusive creatures, which will give you more materials than a regular mob, and then you can learn to infuse your bait to give, for example, if you infuse it with, you have crystallized infused bait, or I'll just show you. So here for example you have learn to infuse your standard lures with crystalline powder, and over here you have viridescent spores, and lastly you have writhing samples. And when you use your writhing samples to infuse the bait, the mob you will kill and skin will drop more writhing samples. So as an example here, you use one sample to infuse the bait and probably get 20 samples back. So going over to these baits real quick, we have the elusive creature lure, which is going to be the basic type of bait that you're using to get an elusive creature to you. This requires 10 basically beef, which is going to be super cheap on the auction now. So this is going to be super cheap to make, and you can use this on an hourly cooldown, or it says it has a 12-hour cooldown, but you can reduce this cooldown when skinning, which we'll talk about in a bit. You can also infuse them with 3 powders, 3 spores, or 1 sample here, 1 breathing sample, but 3 spores and 3 crystalline powder. So when you infuse it with crystalline powder, you get way more crystalline powder back whenever you skin the creature that you get from this lure. You also have the option to make other types of lures as well, so you have the Beast Lure Scent, which will attract all unoccupied skinnable beasts within 60 yards to you. Then you have the Supreme Beast Lure as well. Place the bait luring a supreme elusive creature out of hiding, only usable in the rumbling waste located in the ringing deeps. Now the reason why this specialization tree will be very good whenever you're doing group farm skinning is because of what I just said. This one has a 12-hour cooldown. The bait you're using here has a 12-hour cooldown, but you will learn to reduce this cooldown the more points you spend. So for example here, the amount of cooldown refunded for your elusive creature bait through skinning is doubled when skinning elite and rare creatures, and going over here to the impressive infuser, you will also learn to reduce the cooldown here as well whenever you're doing regular skinning. As you can see here, the amount of cooldown refunded from regular skinning is increased by a small amount, and this will happen several times. Over here as well, another small amount, and I believe even for this one, the trained tracker. Yeah, so here we go, the amount of cooldown refunded for your elusive bait through skinning is increased once again, and over here as well by a small amount, over here by a small amount. And your skills grow, you can now lure the elite creatures as well, so not just regular but elite. Over here small amount, over here small amount, and over here you will then learn to make the supreme beast lure for summoning a powerful creature in a specific location. So the more points you spend in any of these talent trees, the more cooldown you will refund whenever you're skinning. So even though it's on a 12-hour cooldown, doing this in Dragonflight for example, you were able to get it down to a 10-minute cooldown, sometimes even less as well. So from 12 hours to 10 minutes by being in a 5-man party or 2x4 by doing group farm skinning. Now, when it comes to farming professions, and skinning is no different, you are pretty much free to choose any combination you want. You can, for example, go for only specking into a little bit of luring, then go into harvesting, then go into tanning. But specifically for luring, I want to say that if you're focusing on bait crafting, and then using that bait to get more materials back, basically focusing on luring, max out all of these trees, spend 120 knowledge points inside this tree, just max it out, because every single one of them will be very beneficial. You will get way more cooldown back, you can use the bait more often, making more gold from the bait. Now for harvesting, we once again have the option to get meat, and we have the option to get trophies, basically the rare materials, and we have the meat carver, and we have the fishing friend. So for harvesting, for example, you will get deftness while skinning, and also finesse. Just this is the general type of skill tree over here. And as you can see, you get a lot of general stats. You will get +3 deftness per point spent, and there's 40 points to spend, so a total of 120 deftness, and you get 20 finesse right here, 15 deftness here, 20 perception, 75 finesse, 15 deftness, over here 20 perception, and finally you have a chance to, while skinning, to find bizarrely shaped stomachs. What could possibly be inside them? And I have found a couple of these while skinning myself, and they usually contain the different types of materials. Like they can contain herbs, so you get herbs for them, you get the different types of ridding samples, the viridian charm caps, you sometimes get the spores as well, so those types of materials, and you can just get pretty much anything inside those stomachs. Even engineering items can be found from those stomachs, for now at least, and sometimes you get the meats as well from stomachs. It just gives you random stuff. So another way to make gold. Then after that you can specialize into, for example, the species specific types of items here. So you gain an increased chance to gather more species specific reagents from the creatures of Castle Gar. And the more points you spend here, the higher of a chance you will have to find those items. So for example here at the end you will gain 150 perception while skinning. That's massive. And then you also have, for example, meat carvering giving you meat, and then you have the ability to make lures used for fishing as well. And finally for tanning, you have the ability to gather higher quality reagents. So instead of getting quality 1 leather or quality 1 chitin, you can get quality 2 and sometimes even quality 3. You basically go from having a guaranteed chance to get quality 1 and sometimes getting a quality 2 to having a guaranteed quality 2 and sometimes quality 3. That increase is going to be massive. And for the first one, you will just get plus skill in all of them, and after that you can go to the left here for leather and then to the right for chitin. Speaking from past experience, leather is usually more profitable than chitin, so keep that in mind. You might want to go leather this time as well. So for me, if I was going tanning, I would max out regular tanning first by spending 40 points right here, and then go into leather, spending another 40 points in leather as well. Now after that you can either go to chitin to be able to do both leather and chitin farming, or you can, for example, combine leather farming with harvesting. So you can have spent 40 points right here for tanning, then 40 points into leather, then you can go into harvesting and spend 40 points in harvesting plus 40 points in trophy taker, giving you the increased chance to get, for example, cinder bees. Cinder bees will drop leather plus this reagent right here, so for that one you would specialize in, for example, farming cinder bees, which is going to be a really good way to farm gold in the War Within. You can also, for example, focus on getting these, the clipped bat wings, if you want to farm for those. So if you want to farm for both species specific items and leather at the same time, focus on this one, trophy taker, and tanning for higher quality leather and higher quality tanning, or higher quality hides. Now once again, when you go for tanning right here, you will get the ability sharpen your knife, guaranteeing a hide or a chitin. What is it called? A chitin. You will have a higher chance, or a guaranteed chance, to get a hide or a carapace. There we go, carapace, not a chitin, but carapace. So for male, carapace. For leather, you have hides, and you will have a guaranteed chance to get those once per hour. Now, whenever you put talent points here as well, or knowledge points, you can also get more charges. So right here, halfway through, you will gain a second charge of that ability, giving you 2 hides per hour now. And finally, you will have a third charge, giving you 3 hides per hour, guaranteed whenever you're farming skinning. So tanning will just help you get higher quality stuff and more hides than usual. So for me, if I was going tanning, which I am going to do on one of my skinning characters, maybe my main one as well, I'm going to max out tanning first by spending 40 points, then go 40 points into leather, then go into harvesting, and focus on both harvesting, regular harvesting for the amount of materials you get back, and also trophy taker. Once again, the creature specific or the species specific materials here, crafting reagents, they will be way more relevant this time around than they were in Dragonflight. They are used in so many different crafts out there, even like leatherworking uses them, tailoring uses them. A lot of professions will require them this time around, and they will be way more in demand than ever before. Specifically for leatherworking, they are making different types of hides in leatherworking, which requires these materials. So focusing on trophy taker will be more valuable now than it was in Dragonflight, and I made the mistake of going down this path in Dragonflight, and I'm doing it again because once again, it's looking way better this time around. But yeah, in essence, skinning hasn't changed that much from Dragonflight, so if you skinned in Dragonflight, you will be familiar with most of these. The only things that have changed are the names, and to a certain extent, how relevant some of them are. Like, for example, once again, species-specific reagents will be more relevant this time around than they were in the past, and luring is a little bit different, with the amount of stuff you can infuse into the hides. And tanning works basically the same, but we have the sharpen the knife ability. But for the most part, it's very similar to how it was in Dragonflight. And that's basically what I have to say about skinning. Once again, it's very hard for me to tell you exactly how to spend your points, because it's very subjective. I will just say that if you are focusing solely on group farming with skinning, luring and bait crafting will probably be the way to go, because once again you get so much cooldown refunded from skinning, and when you're in a 5-man group or 2x4, you will skin so many creatures. Referring back to my Dragonflight experience, we had 10-minute cooldowns. It's usually a 12-hour cooldown, so you take 12 hours down to 10 minutes by being in a group, because you're killing so many mobs and skinning so many mobs, and because everyone in a group can skin the same mob, it is just very valuable to be in a group farm. And then after you have maxed out luring, that is when you can make a personal choice between harvesting or tanning, even though I would probably recommend tanning. Higher quality leather will always be in demand, and especially this time around, like in the War Within, skill points are way more important than they were in Dragonflight. Getting higher quality crafts will be very difficult, so guaranteeing quality 5 epic items for example will be borderline impossible, and you will spend concentration points to do that. Now, in order to get as close as you can, you need high quality reagents, because high quality reagents gives you additional skill points when crafting a recipe. So people will want quality 3 leather, and people will want quality 3 hides, just like they will also want quality 3 carapaces and quality 3 chitin as well. So the higher quality materials you find, the better, and tanning is arguably going to be more relevant than ever as well. Either way, that's my video for skinning. Hopefully it taught you something about skinning, and hopefully it made your decisions a little bit easier, even though I made it more complicated for myself, because I want to go for everything. I want to have one skinning character focus on tanning, one on harvesting, and one on luring, so I have to make a decision here. Either way, hopefully you enjoyed the video, leave a like if you did, and let me know which path you are going to take on your skinning character in the comment down below. I would love to hear some opinions. Either way, thank you for watching, I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you again in the next video very soon.